My daughter-in-law Vanessa stood at my front door with my 7-year-old grandson Marcus and said, "Gloria, we won't be needing your help anymore. Marcus is staying with us from now on." I looked down at Marcus, who was holding his mother's hand, but looking at me with confused, sad eyes. "What do you mean you won't need my help?" "I've been taking care of Marcus since he was born." "Exactly. And now it's time for me to be his primary caregiver. I'm his mother, after all." "Vanessa, I don't understand. Did I do something wrong?" "It's not about you doing something wrong. It's about what's best for Marcus. He needs to be with his parents, not his grandmother." "But I see him 5 days a week. I pick him up from school, help with homework, make his dinners." "Which is exactly the problem. You're too involved. Marcus needs to learn independence, and he can't do that if his grandmother is coddling him constantly." Marcus tugged on his mother's hand. "Mama, I don't want to stop seeing Grandma." "Marcus, that's enough. Say goodbye to Grandma Gloria." "But Mama, I said that's enough." I knelt down to Marcus's eye level. "It's okay, baby. I'll see you soon." "When?" he asked, tears forming in his eyes. Vanessa pulled him back before I could answer. "We'll let you know when we're ready for a visit. Come on, Marcus." She turned and walked to her car, Marcus looking back at me over his shoulder. That was 3 months ago. I haven't seen my grandson since. My name is Gloria Thompson. I'm 58 years old, and I'm a retired registered nurse. For the past 7 years, since my grandson Marcus was born, I've been his primary caregiver. I picked him up from daycare when he was a baby. I watched him while my son Robert and daughter-in-law Vanessa worked their demanding jobs. When Marcus started school, I was the one who picked him up every day at 3 p.m. I helped him with homework. I made his dinner. I gave him his bath. I read him bedtime stories. 5 days a week, every week, for 7 years. I wasn't just his grandmother. I was his caregiver, his teacher, his constant presence. And then, without warning, Vanessa decided I was no longer needed. For 3 months I called. I texted. I begged to see Marcus. Vanessa's responses were always the same. "We're busy. Marcus needs to adjust to his new routine. We'll let you know when we're ready." Robert, my son, said the same thing. "Mom, give Vanessa some space. She's trying to be more involved in Marcus's life. That's a good thing, right? But I haven't seen Marcus in 3 months. Can't I at least have dinner with him once a week?" "Mom, you're being dramatic. 3 months isn't that long." "It's a lifetime for a 7-year-old child. Marcus is fine. Vanessa says he's adjusting well." But I didn't believe Vanessa, because 2 weeks after she cut me off, I ran into Marcus's teacher, Mrs. Patterson, at the grocery store. "Gloria, I've been meaning to call you. Is everything okay with Marcus?" "What do you mean?" "His attendance has been spotty lately. He's missed 6 days this month, and when he is in school, he seems different, withdrawn, not his usual happy self." 6 days? Vanessa didn't tell me he was missing school. I've tried calling home several times, but I only get voicemail. Is there a family emergency? Not that I know of. Mrs. Patterson looked concerned. "Gloria, Marcus also hasn't been turning in his homework. His grades have dropped significantly. I'm worried about him." My heart sank. When I was taking care of Marcus, he never missed school unless he was sick. His homework was always done. He was a straight A student. "Mrs. Patterson, I'm not taking care of Marcus anymore. Vanessa is. But I didn't know about any of this." "Oh, well, that explains it. Marcus always did so well when you were involved." After that conversation, I tried calling Vanessa again. "Vanessa, Mrs. Patterson told me Marcus has been missing school and his grades are dropping. What's going on?" "That's none of your business, Gloria. I'm handling it." "How are you handling it? Marcus never missed school when I was taking care of him." "Maybe that's because you were too controlling. Marcus needs to learn that sometimes things don't go perfectly. He's fine. He's 7 years old, Vanessa. He needs structure and consistency. He has structure, my structure, not yours. Can I please just see him? I miss him so much." "No, Marcus is adjusting to life without you. I'm not going to disrupt that progress." "Progress? His teacher says he's withdrawn and struggling." "His teacher doesn't know what she's talking about. I need to go." She hung up. I sat in my kitchen, staring at photos of Marcus on my refrigerator, his first day of kindergarten, his 7th birthday party at my house, him helping me bake cookies last Christmas. 3 months without seeing him felt like an eternity. But I was about to learn that things were much worse than I thought. A week later, I ran into my neighbor Sheila, who lived 2 houses down from Robert and Vanessa. "Gloria, I didn't know you weren't watching Marcus anymore." Vanessa decided she wanted to take over. "Oh, well, that's interesting. What do you mean?" Sheila looked uncomfortable. "I probably shouldn't say anything." "Sheila, please. I'm worried about Marcus." "Okay. Well, I've noticed that Marcus is home alone a lot lately. I see him in the window after school, and there's no car in the driveway." "What? He's 7 years old. He can't be home alone." "I know. That's why I'm telling you. Last week, I saw him sitting on the front porch at 8 p.m., still in his school clothes. No adult in sight." "Where were Robert and Vanessa?" "I don't know, but their cars were both gone." I felt sick. "How often does this happen?" "At least 2 or 3 times a week that I've noticed. And Gloria, he looks sad, really sad. Not like the happy little boy I used to see when you picked him up from school." After I left Sheila's house, I sat in my car and cried. My grandson was being neglected. He was home alone. He was missing school. He was failing classes. He was withdrawn and sad. And I couldn't do anything about it because Vanessa had cut me off. But then I remembered something. I'm a retired nurse. I spent 35 years taking care of people, advocating for patients who couldn't advocate for themselves. And Marcus couldn't advocate for himself. He was 7 years old, but I could advocate for him. I went home and called a family law attorney. "Hello, my name is Gloria Thompson. I need to file for grandparent visitation rights." The receptionist transferred me to an attorney named Catherine Mills. "Mrs. Thompson, tell me about your situation." I explained everything. How I'd been Marcus's primary caregiver for 7 years. How Vanessa suddenly cut me off. How Marcus was now struggling in school, missing classes, being left home alone. "Mrs. Thompson, this sounds like potential neglect. Have you contacted Child Protective Services?" "No, I don't want to get my son and daughter-in-law in trouble. I just want to see my grandson again." "I understand. But if what you're telling me is true, this isn't just about visitation. This is about Marcus's well-being. What should I do?" "File for grandparent visitation rights. In the process, we'll present evidence of your caregiving history and your concerns about Marcus's current situation. The court may order an investigation. And if they find evidence of neglect, they'll take appropriate action." "Will I have to go to court?" "Yes. And so will your daughter-in-law. She'll have to explain to a judge why she cut you off and how Marcus is doing without your care." "When can we start?" "I can file the paperwork today." "That was 2 months ago. Tomorrow is the court hearing. Tomorrow, Vanessa is going to have to stand in front of a judge and explain why she cut me off from my grandson. And tomorrow, that judge is going to learn the truth about what's been happening to Marcus." Vanessa thought she could just erase me from Marcus's life. She was wrong. To understand how we got here, I need to tell you about the day Marcus was born. Robert called from the hospital. "Mom, he's here. Marcus Robert Thompson. He's perfect." When I arrived, Robert held this tiny baby with tears streaming down his face. Vanessa, exhausted from 22 hours of labor, asked, "Gloria, would you be willing to watch Marcus when I go back to work? Every weekday, 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. I looked at my grandson and felt my heart expand. I would be honored. That was 7 years ago. For 3 years, I was Marcus's daycare. Robert and Vanessa dropped him off at 7 a.m. I fed him, changed him, played with him. I was there for his first smile, his first laugh, his first steps, in my living room, walking toward me. Vanessa wasn't there for those milestones. She was at work. I never told her. I didn't want her to feel bad. When Marcus started preschool, I drove him every morning, picked him up every afternoon. Vanessa and Robert picked him up from my house around 6:30 p.m., took him home, and did it all again the next day. When he started kindergarten, I walked him to his classroom on the first day. Vanessa had an important meeting. Gloria, I'm so sorry. This meeting is crucial for my promotion. So I was the one who held his hand, who reassured him, who picked him up and heard about his new friend Jake. That became our routine. I picked Marcus up at 3 p.m. We'd go to my house. Snack, then homework at my kitchen table. I helped him sound out words, quiz spelling, solve math problems. Then dinner, his favorites. Spaghetti, chicken nuggets, homemade pizza. We'd eat together, and he'd tell me about his day. Then our special time, baking cookies, craft projects, cartoons on the couch. At 6:30 p.m., Robert or Vanessa picked him up. This was our life for 7 years. I wasn't just watching Marcus, I was raising him. But Vanessa resented me for it. At a family barbecue, someone asked Vanessa how she balanced career and motherhood. Oh, it's all about organization. I make sure to be present for Marcus when it matters. She didn't mention I was providing all the quantity time. She made it sound like she did everything herself. I overheard her tell her mother, Marcus is doing so well in school, I make sure his homework is done every night. She was taking credit for my work, but I didn't say anything. What mattered was Marcus was happy, healthy, thriving, and he was thriving. Straight A student. Teachers loved him, kind, well-behaved, curious. His pediatrician always said, Marcus is one of the happiest, healthiest kids I see. But 6 months ago, things changed. Vanessa got promoted to vice president. Even longer hours, 3 or 4 days a week traveling. Robert's law firm was busier, 12-hour days. Marcus was with me even more. Not just weekday afternoons, but full weekends. I didn't mind. I loved spending time with him. But Vanessa started making comments. People at work make remarks about how I'm never with my son. Vanessa, you're working hard to provide for your family. I know, but it feels like I'm not being a good mother. She started trying to take credit for things I did. Marcus, tell Grandma about the science project we worked on together, even though she'd been on a business trip. Then came Marcus's 7th birthday party. I spent weeks planning his superhero party, made decorations, baked a 3-layer cake, organized games. 20 kids came. Marcus had the time of his life. Vanessa showed up halfway through from work. She looked around at everything, and her expression darkened. That night, she called. You realize you completely took over, right? You asked me to help plan it. I asked you to help, not do everything. You don't leave room for me to be his mother. I'm just trying to help. I don't need your help anymore. You're with him too much. It's not healthy for a 7-year-old to be that attached to his grandmother. Not healthy? I've been taking care of him since he was born. And maybe that was a mistake. I should have been more involved. But I let you take over. Now Marcus sees you as more of a mother than me. That's not true. It is true. I need to step up as his mother, and you need to step back. 2 weeks later, she cut me off completely. I thought she just needed space. I never imagined she'd keep me away for 3 months. Now, preparing for tomorrow's court hearing, I looked through my documentation. Thousands of photos over 7 years. School records showing perfect attendance and straight A's while I cared for him. Medical records of all checkups I'd taken him to. Receipts for everything I'd bought him. A journal of our activities together. And most importantly, a letter from Marcus. Mrs. Patterson gave it to me 2 weeks ago. Marcus wrote this for a class assignment. Write about someone important to you. In careful 2nd grade handwriting. My grandma is the most important person to me. She makes me dinner and helps me with homework. She teaches me to bake cookies. She reads me stories. She makes me feel safe. I miss her so much. I wish I could see her again. I love my grandma. I cried when I read it. Tomorrow, I'm showing that letter to a judge. Tomorrow, Vanessa has to explain why she kept Marcus away from the most important person to me. Tomorrow, the truth about what's been happening to Marcus comes out. Vanessa tried to erase me from Marcus's life. But you can't erase 7 years of love and care. Tomorrow, everyone will see that. The day before the court hearing, I met with my attorney, Catherine Mills, to go over our case. She spread documents across her conference table, school records, medical records, neighbor statements, my journal of care. Gloria, This is one of the strongest grandparent rights cases I've ever seen. You have 7 years of documented primary caregiving. The contrast between Marcus's well-being while in your care versus after the cutoff is stark. What will Vanessa's defense be? She'll argue parental rights, that she has the absolute right to determine who has access to her child, and that you're overstepping boundaries. But Marcus is suffering without me. We'll prove that. But Vanessa will likely claim you're exaggerating or that Marcus is adjusting and will be fine. What about the school absences? The neighbors seeing him home alone? Those are our strongest evidence. But Vanessa will have explanations. She'll say the absences were for legitimate reasons. She'll deny leaving him alone. So it's my word against hers? Not exactly. We have third-party witnesses, the teacher, the neighbors, the pediatrician. Their testimony carries weight. Catherine pulled out another document. Gloria, I need to prepare you for something. We've received Vanessa's court filing, her statement about why she cut off your access. She handed me the document. I read Vanessa's sworn statement. My mother-in-law, Gloria Thompson, has been inappropriately involved in my son Marcus's life since birth. While I initially appreciated her help, I've come to realize that her constant presence has been detrimental to Marcus's development and to my relationship with my son. Gloria undermines my parenting decisions. She allows Marcus to eat unhealthy foods despite my instructions. She lets him watch television programs I've forbidden. She disregards my rules about bedtime, screen time, and discipline. Most concerning, Gloria has been poisoning Marcus's mind against me. She makes subtle comments that make Marcus question my love for him. She implies that I don't care about him because I work. Marcus has become overly dependent on Gloria to an unhealthy degree. He prefers her over me, his own mother. This is not normal or healthy for a 7-year-old child. I made the difficult decision to reduce Gloria's access to Marcus so that I could rebuild my relationship with my son and establish myself as his primary caregiver. This is my right as his mother. Gloria has refused to accept my boundaries. She has harassed me with constant calls and texts demanding to see Marcus. She has tried to turn my son against me. She has even contacted Marcus's school and doctor behind my back, further demonstrating her inability to respect my role as Marcus's parent. I am not denying Gloria all access to Marcus. I simply need time to repair the damage her over-involvement has caused. When I determine that Marcus is ready, I will allow supervised visits with his grandmother. I stared at the document, tears streaming down my face. She's lying. All of this is lies. I know, Catherine said gently, but this is what we're up against. Vanessa is painting you as an overbearing grandmother who can't respect boundaries. I never undermined her parenting. I never spoke badly about her to Marcus. I believe you. But we need to prove it in court.
How? We have Marcus's letter saying you're the most important person to him. We have testimony from teachers and neighbors. We have the evidence of neglect after she cut you off. But Vanessa will say that Marcus's attachment to you is exactly the problem, that it's unhealthy. I felt defeated. So what do? We tell the truth. We show the judge that you weren't overstepping. You were filling a void. Vanessa used you as free childcare for 7 years because she was too busy with her career to raise her own son. And when people started noticing that Marcus was more attached to you than to her, she got embarrassed and cut you off. Will the judge see it that way? If we present our case well, yes. But Gloria, you need to be prepared for the possibility that even with all this evidence, the judge might still rule in Vanessa's favor. Why? Because family courts heavily favor parental rights. Unless we can prove actual neglect or danger, the judge might decide that Vanessa has the right to limit your access, even if it's not in Marcus's best interest. I felt my heart sink. Are you saying I might lose? I'm saying it's not guaranteed, but we have a strong case. The evidence of Marcus's decline is compelling. That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept thinking about Vanessa's statement, how she'd twisted everything. I thought about the past 3 months and tried to understand what had really happened. Why had Vanessa suddenly cut me off? I thought back to that conversation after Marcus's birthday party.
Marcus sees you as more of a mother than he sees me. That was the core issue. Not that I was undermining her, not that I was inappropriate, but that Marcus loved me, trusted me, depended on me, and Vanessa couldn't stand it. I thought about all the times over the years when Vanessa had made comments about my relationship with Marcus. When Marcus was 4 and got scared at night, he'd cry for me. Vanessa would have to call me to calm him down. "I'm his mother," she'd said once, frustrated. "Why does he want you instead of me?" When Marcus was 5 and fell off his bike, scraping his knee badly, he ran to me crying instead of to Vanessa, who was standing right there. "I'm right here, Marcus," Vanessa had said, hurt in her voice. "But Grandma always fixes my boo-boos," Marcus had replied innocently. When Marcus was 6 and had to write about his family for school, he'd written 2 full pages about me and only mentioned his parents briefly at the end. Vanessa had been quiet for days after seeing that assignment. The signs had been there all along. Vanessa resented that Marcus and I were so close. But instead of spending more time with Marcus herself, instead of building her own relationship with him, she just cut me out. As if removing me would automatically make Marcus closer to her. But it hadn't worked that way. Without me, Marcus was lost. He didn't suddenly become closer to Vanessa. He just became sad, withdrawn, struggling. The next morning, I arrived at the courthouse at 8:30 a.m. The hearing was scheduled for 9 a.m. Catherine met me in the hallway. "Gloria, are you ready?" "As ready as I'll ever be. Remember, stay calm. Answer questions directly. Don't let Vanessa's attorney rattle you." "What about Marcus? Will he have to testify?" "The judge will likely speak to Marcus privately in chambers. He's 7, so the judge will take his wishes into consideration, but won't let him make the final decision." We entered the courtroom. Vanessa was already there with her attorney, a stern-looking woman in an expensive suit. Vanessa wouldn't look at me. She sat rigid, staring straight ahead. Robert was sitting on Vanessa's side of the courtroom, my own son, sitting with her instead of me. That hurt more than I expected. The bailiff called the court to order. "All rise." The Honorable Judge Patricia Morrison presiding. Judge Morrison entered, a black woman in her 50s with kind eyes and a no-nonsense demeanor. "Please be seated. We're here today for the petition of Gloria Thompson seeking grandparent visitation rights with her grandson, Marcus Thompson. Ms. Mills, you may begin." Catherine stood. "Thank you, Your Honor. This case is about a grandmother who served as her grandson's primary caregiver for 7 years, only to be suddenly and completely cut off without explanation or justification. Mrs. Thompson didn't just babysit occasionally. She was Marcus's primary caregiver 5 days a week, every week, for 7 years. She fed him, clothed him, educated him, cared for him when he was sick, helped him with homework, attended his school events. For 7 years, Marcus thrived under his grandmother's care. He had perfect school attendance, straight A's, and was described by his teachers and pediatrician as happy, healthy, and well-adjusted. Then, 3 months ago, the respondent Vanessa Thompson abruptly terminated all of Mrs. Thompson's access to Marcus. No transition period, no gradual reduction, complete cutoff. And in those 3 months, Marcus has suffered. His school attendance has plummeted. His grades have dropped. He's become withdrawn and sad. Neighbors have witnessed him being left home alone, a 7-year-old child with no supervision. We're not here because Mrs. Thompson can't let go. We're here because a child is suffering without the grandmother who raised him. Vanessa's attorney, Ms. Brennan, stood up. "Your Honor, this is a case of an overbearing grandmother who refuses to respect parental boundaries. Mrs. Vanessa Thompson has the constitutional right to determine who has access to her child. She has not denied Mrs. Thompson all access. She has simply requested time to establish herself as Marcus's primary caregiver. For 7 years, Mrs. Gloria Thompson has been inappropriately involved in Marcus's daily life. She has undermined Mrs. Vanessa Thompson's parenting, disregarded her rules, and created an unhealthy attachment between herself and Marcus. Mrs. Vanessa Thompson is not a neglectful mother. She is a successful professional who made the responsible decision to ensure her son had care while she worked. But now she wants to be more present in her son's life. and Mrs. Gloria Thompson is interfering with that goal. Judge Morrison looked at both attorneys. I've read both filings. This seems to come down to a question of what's in the child's best interest. Ms. Mills, I'd like to hear from your witnesses. Let's start with the teacher. Mrs. Patterson was called to the stand. She looked nervous, but determined. Catherine questioned her. Mrs. Patterson, you've been Marcus Thompson's teacher for 2 years. Can you describe Marcus's attendance and academic performance while his grandmother was his primary caregiver? Marcus had perfect attendance in 1st grade. He never missed a day unless he was genuinely ill, and even then it was rare. His homework was always completed. He was reading above grade level and excelling in all subjects. And what about his demeanor, his emotional state? Marcus was one of the happiest children in my class. He was enthusiastic about learning, got along well with other children, and seemed secure and confident. What happened 3 months ago when his grandmother's involvement ended? Mrs. Patterson's expression saddened. Everything changed. Marcus started missing school, sometimes 2 or 3 days a week. When he was there, he seemed withdrawn, sad. His homework stopped being turned in. His grades dropped significantly. I tried reaching out to his parents multiple times but rarely got responses. The change in Marcus was dramatic and concerning. Ms. Brennan cross-examined. Mrs. Patterson, isn't it common for children to have ups and downs in their academic performance? Yes, but this wasn't a small dip. This was a dramatic decline in every area. Could there be other explanations besides his grandmother's absence? Perhaps something happening at home? Bullying at school? I investigated those possibilities. Marcus wasn't being bullied, and when I asked him if everything was okay at home, he said he just missed his grandma. So Marcus told you he missed his grandmother? Yes. Isn't it possible that Mrs. Gloria Thompson coached Marcus to say that? That she's been manipulating this situation? Objection, Catherine said. Speculation. Sustained, Judge Morrison said. Ms. Brennan, stick to facts. Next, my neighbor Sheila was called to testify. Mrs. Johnson, you live near Marcus Thompson's family. Have you observed anything concerning in recent months? Yes. I've seen Marcus home alone multiple times after school. He's 7 years old. He shouldn't be home alone. How do you know he was alone? I could see him through the window, sitting by himself. No adult cars in the driveway. This happened at least 2 or 3 times a week. Did you ever see Marcus outside alone at night? Yes. One evening around 8 p.m., I saw him sitting on the front porch in his school clothes. Both his parents' cars were gone. I almost called the police, but then a car pulled up about 15 minutes later. Ms. Brennan cross-examined. Mrs. Johnson, you can't actually know whether an adult was home with Marcus, can you? Perhaps someone was inside and Marcus simply chose to sit by the window or on the porch? I suppose it's possible, but so you're speculating? I'm telling you what I saw. What you saw was a child in his own home and on his own porch. That's not evidence of neglect. Judge Morrison intervened. I'll determine what constitutes evidence, Ms. Brennan. Dr. Rivera, Marcus's pediatrician, was called next. Dr. Rivera, you've been Marcus's doctor since birth. Can you describe his health while under his grandmother's care? Marcus was one of my healthiest patients. He came in for all his well-child visits, always on time. His growth was perfect. His developmental milestones were all met or exceeded. What about in the past 3 months? Marcus missed his 6-month checkup, which was scheduled 2 months ago. When I finally saw him last week, he'd lost 4 pounds, significant for a 7-year-old. He also showed signs of anxiety and stress. Did you express concerns to the parents? I tried to. I spoke with Mrs. Vanessa Thompson and recommended that Marcus might benefit from counseling. She assured me everything was fine at home. Finally, it was time for the main witnesses, Vanessa and me. Vanessa took the stand first. Ms. Brennan questioned her. Mrs. Thompson, why did you make the decision to reduce your mother-in-law's access to Marcus? Vanessa's voice was steady, rehearsed. Because I realized that my son had become unhealthily attached to his grandmother. He preferred her over me. When he was upset, he wanted her instead of me. When he had good news, he told her first. I'm his mother. I should be his primary attachment figure. But Gloria made that impossible by inserting herself into every aspect of his life. Did you communicate your concerns to your mother-in-law? I tried, but Gloria didn't respect my boundaries. She believed that because she'd been helping with Marcus since he was born, she had equal say in his upbringing. She didn't. Are you a neglectful mother? Absolutely not. I work hard to provide for my family. Yes, I have a demanding career, but that doesn't make me a bad mother. What is your current arrangement with Marcus? I've been working from home more. I pick him up from school myself now. We spend evenings together. We're rebuilding our relationship. Catherine cross-examined. Mrs. Thompson, you claim Marcus has become unhealthily attached to his grandmother. But isn't it true that you relied on his grandmother to raise him for 7 years? Vanessa's jaw tightened. I didn't rely on her to raise him. She watched him while I worked. She fed him, clothed him, helped with homework, took him to doctor appointments, attended school events. That sounds like raising him to me. She was helping. That's what grandparents do. And now that Marcus loves and depends on his grandmother, the natural result of 7 years of care, you've cut her off completely? I need space to be his mother. Mrs. Thompson, Marcus's school records show he missed 12 days of school in the past 3 months. Where was Marcus on those days? Vanessa hesitated. He was sick. 12 days sick in 3 months? His pediatrician has no record of 12 sick visits. He had a cold. You don't go to the doctor for every cold. The teacher reported that Marcus said he missed school because no one woke him up. Is that true? I had early meetings. Robert was supposed to wake him. So Marcus missed school because neither parent made sure he got there? That's not fair. When Marcus was with his grandmother, he never missed school. Now he's missing 12 days in 3 months, correct? Yes, but no further questions. Now it was my turn. I took the stand, my hands shaking. Catherine questioned me gently. Mrs. Thompson, please tell the court about your relationship with your grandson. I took a deep breath. Marcus is the light of my life. For 7 years, I've had the privilege of caring for him. I fed him, helped him learn, watched him grow. He's a remarkable little boy. Kind, smart, curious. I never tried to replace his mother. I know Vanessa loves Marcus. But she was working, and I was retired, so I took care of him. When Vanessa told me she didn't need my help anymore, I was confused, but tried to respect her wishes. But then I heard Marcus was struggling, missing school, grades dropping, being left alone. I'm not trying to take Marcus away from his mother. I just want to be part of his life again. I want him to be happy and healthy, like he was before. Mrs. Thompson, do you have any evidence of how Marcus feels about this situation? Yes. I pulled out Marcus's letter and read it aloud, my voice breaking. My grandma is the most important person to me. She makes me dinner and helps me with homework. She teaches me to bake cookies. She reads me stories. She makes me feel safe. I miss her so much. I wish I could see her again. I love my grandma. There wasn't a dry eye in the courtroom. Even Judge Morrison looked moved. Ms. Brennan cross-examined harshly. Mrs. Thompson, isn't it true that you've been undermining Mrs. Vanessa Thompson's authority for years? No, that's not true. You let Marcus eat foods she forbade? I fed him healthy, balanced meals. If Vanessa is referring to cookies we baked together occasionally, yes, we did that. You disregarded her rules about screen time? We watched educational programs together sometimes. I never let him watch inappropriate content. You've been calling Mrs. Vanessa Thompson repeatedly despite her asking you to stop. I called because I was worried about my grandson. Your grandson? He's not your son. He's hers. I know that. I've never tried to replace her. I just love Marcus and want what's best for him. After testimony concluded, Judge Morrison said, I'd like to speak with Marcus privately in my chambers. We'll take a 30-minute recess. Marcus was brought in. He looked small and nervous, holding his father's hand. He glanced over and saw me. His face lit up. Grandma! He pulled away from Robert and ran to me. I hugged him tight, tears streaming down my face. Hi, baby. I've missed you so much. I miss you too, Grandma. When can I come to your house again? We're going to talk to the judge about that. Vanessa's face was furious as she watched Marcus cling to me. After 30 minutes, Marcus emerged from the judge's chambers. His eyes were red from crying. We were called back into the courtroom. Judge Morrison looked at all of us seriously. I've heard testimony from all parties and witnesses. I've reviewed the evidence, and I've spoken with Marcus. This is a difficult case because both sides clearly care about this child. But care isn't enough. What matters is Marcus's well-being. The evidence shows that Marcus thrived under his grandmother's care and has struggled significantly without her. His school attendance, grades, and emotional health have all declined markedly. While I respect Mrs. Vanessa Thompson's rights as a parent, those rights are not absolute when a child's well-being is at stake. My heart pounded. I am granting Mrs. Gloria Thompson visitation rights with her grandson, Marcus. Vanessa gasped. Mrs. Gloria Thompson will have Marcus every Wednesday after school until 7 p.m. and every other weekend from Friday after school until Sunday evening. Additionally, I'm ordering a home study by Child Protective Services to assess Marcus's current living situation and make recommendations. If Marcus's attendance and academic performance do not improve within the next 3 months, I will revisit this custody arrangement. This court is adjourned. I sat there stunned. I'd won. I'd actually won. Marcus was going to be in my life again. Vanessa stood up, furious. She grabbed her purse and stormed out without looking at anyone. Robert approached me. Mom, I'm sorry. I should have listened to you. You're here now. That's what matters. Marcus ran back to me and hugged me tight. Grandma, does this mean I get to come to your house again? Yes, baby, starting Wednesday. Can we make cookies? We can make all the cookies you want. He smiled for the first time in months. A real, genuine smile. Vanessa had tried to erase me from Marcus's life, but the judge had seen the truth. You can't erase someone who raised a child for 7 years, and you can't deny a child the love he needs. After I filed for grandparent visitation rights, things moved fast. Within 2 weeks, Vanessa received the court summons. She called immediately, furious. You're suing me? For my own son? I'm petitioning for visitation rights, Vanessa, not suing. You have no legal right to Marcus. Grandparents can petition for visitation if they've had a significant caregiving role, which I have. I'll fight this. You're not taking my son. I'm not trying to take him. I just want to see him. You should have thought about that before you sued me. She hung up. The next day, I received a cease and desist letter from Vanessa's attorney demanding I stop all contact. Catherine shook her head. This is aggressive. She's feeling threatened. What does this mean? It helps us. Shows she's trying to completely cut you off, not just creating space like she claims. Over the next month, we prepared. Catherine filed motions requesting Marcus's school records, medical records, permission to interview his teacher and pediatrician. Vanessa's attorney fought every request. The judge granted ours. When school records arrived, they were devastating. Marcus had missed 16 days in 4 months. His grades dropped from straight A's to C's and D's. Teacher notes, Marcus seems withdrawn and sad. Marcus fell asleep in class. Is everything okay? Marcus hasn't turned in homework for 2 weeks. Very unlike him. Medical records showed Marcus lost 6 pounds and missed 2 well-child visits. Catherine compiled everything. Gloria, this evidence is strong, but Vanessa will have explanations. What kind? She'll say Marcus has been sick, going through a difficult phase, blame the teacher. But none of that is true. I know, but her attorney will try to make it sound reasonable. We gathered evidence of my caregiving history. 7 years of photos, receipts for clothes, supplies, toys, groceries, a detailed log of activities, appointments, school events. This is incredible documentation, Catherine said. Most grandparents don't have nearly this much. I didn't keep it for legal reasons. I kept it to remember every moment. It's going to win us this case. 2 weeks before the hearing, Catherine requested a child psychologist evaluate Marcus. Vanessa's attorney objected. There's no need to subject Marcus to psychological evaluation. The judge approved it. Dr. Sarah Chen met with Marcus for 2 hours. Marcus is clearly struggling emotionally, signs of anxiety and depression. When I asked what would make him happy, the first thing he said was, "Seeing my grandma." Dr. Chen's report will be crucial, Catherine said. Shows Marcus isn't just missing you, he's suffering without you. Meanwhile, Vanessa built her defense. Character witnesses, colleagues, friends, her mother, who would testify she was a good mother. Catherine warned, they'll paint Vanessa as a dedicated mother being attacked by an overbearing mother-in-law. But that's not true. We'll show that. 1 week before the hearing, Vanessa posted on social media, "There comes a time when a mother has to make difficult decisions to protect her child. Not everyone will understand, but a mother's love means doing what's best, not what's popular. Mom life, protective parenting, boundaries matter." The post went viral among her friends. "You're so brave. Toxic family members don't deserve access. A mother knows best." I was devastated. Vanessa was painting me as toxic without naming me. "This actually helps us," Catherine said. "She's more concerned about her image than Marcus's well-being. Screenshot everything." 3 days before the hearing, Robert called. "Mom, can we talk?" We met at a coffee shop. Robert looked exhausted. "Mom, I need to tell you something. I'm ashamed it took this long." "What is it?" "Vanessa has been lying. About everything." My heart raced. "What do you mean?" "I've been working such long hours I didn't notice. But last week, I came home early at 4 p.m. Marcus should have been home, but the house was empty. I called Vanessa. She said they were running errands. But when they got home an hour later, Marcus was in school clothes and said he'd just walked home from the bus. She'd left him alone for hours and lied. I confronted her. She admitted she's been leaving Marcus alone after school most days because she has meetings. She said only an hour or 2. "But Mom, he's 7. I asked about school absences. She said Marcus was sick, but his doctor had no appointments. Truth is, she oversleeps because she stays up late working. Marcus misses the bus, and instead of driving him, she keeps him home. I've been a terrible father. So focused on work I didn't see my son struggling." Robert started crying. "Mom, I'm so sorry. You were right. Vanessa wasn't ready to be his primary caregiver. I took her side over yours. I chose my wife over my mother, and Marcus suffered." I took his hand. "Robert, I don't blame you. You trusted your wife. But I should have noticed. You see it now. That's what matters. Mom, at the hearing, I'm testifying on your side." "What? Robert, you don't have to." "Yes, I do. I need to tell the judge the truth. Vanessa will be furious, but I can't lie anymore." "What about your marriage?" "I don't know. Right now, all I care about is Marcus. He needs you. He's always needed you." The night before the hearing, I couldn't sleep. If I lost, I might never see Marcus again. Vanessa could move away, cut off all contact. But if I won, I'd have my grandson back. I thought about Marcus's letter. She makes me feel safe. That's all I'd ever wanted. Morning of the hearing, I woke at 5 a.m. I dressed carefully, professional but not severe. A grandmother who loved her grandson, not someone causing trouble. Catherine met me at 8 a.m. "Are you ready?" "As ready as I'll ever be." "Stay calm. Answer directly. Don't let emotion overwhelm you." We entered the courtroom. Vanessa was there with her attorney, polished and composed. Then Robert walked in. He didn't sit on Vanessa's side. He sat on mine. Vanessa's face went white. She whispered urgently to her attorney, who looked shocked. The bailiff called court to order. This was it. This moment would determine whether I'd ever see Marcus again. Judge Morrison entered, and the hearing began. Everything I'd worked for, documented, fought for over 5 months, it all came down to the next few hours. Vanessa had tried to erase me from Marcus's life. But today, the truth was coming out, and this judge was going to decide Marcus's future. Judge Morrison looked at both sides. This court's primary concern is Marcus Thompson's best interest. Parental rights are important, but not absolute when a child's well-being is at stake. Ms. Mills, call your first witness. I call Mrs. Patricia Patterson, Marcus's teacher. After being sworn in, Catherine began. How long have you been Marcus's teacher? 2 years, first and second grade. Describe Marcus's first grade performance. Perfect attendance, maybe 2 sick days all year, homework always done well, reading 2 grades above level, one of my best students. His emotional state? Marcus was a joy, enthusiastic, asked questions, participated, got along well with others, secure and happy. When did you notice a change? About 4 months ago. Suddenly, Marcus started missing school, 1 day, then 2, then 3 in a row. When present, he seemed withdrawn, sad, stared out windows instead of participating. Academic performance? Declined dramatically. Homework stopped being turned in. Test scores dropped from A's to C's and D's. Did you contact parents? Multiple times. Notes, calls, emails, rarely got responses. Mrs. Vanessa Thompson said Marcus was going through a phase. Did Marcus mention his grandmother? Constantly. My grandma would help me. I miss my grandma. He'd get sad when he talked about her. During a writing assignment about someone important, Marcus wrote about his grandmother. Called her the most important person in the world. Catherine held up the letter. This one? Yes, Your Honor. I enter this as evidence. In your professional opinion, what changed 4 months ago? His grandmother stopped being part of his daily life. Without her, Marcus has struggled, academically, emotionally, socially. Ms. Brennan cross-examined. You're not a psychologist, correct? No. So you can't definitively say Marcus's struggles are due to his grandmother's absence? The timing isn't coincidental. The decline started exactly when she stopped picking him up. Perhaps Marcus is being coached to say these things. Objection, Catherine said. Speculation. Sustained. Move on, Ms. Brennan. Next, Dr. Rivera, Marcus's pediatrician, testified. Marcus was one of my healthiest patients. All visits on time, immunizations current, excellent development. Has that changed? Yes. Marcus missed his 6-year, 9-month checkup. When I finally saw him last week, he'd lost 6 pounds. His BMI dropped below healthy range. Signs of anxiety, nail biting, dark circles, difficulty with eye contact. Did you discuss this with parents? I spoke with Mrs. Vanessa Thompson, recommended counseling. She became defensive, said everything was fine. Based on your assessment, is everything fine? No. Marcus is showing signs of neglect, inadequate nutrition, lack of care, emotional distress. Ms. Brennan cross-examined. Weight loss could be a growth spurt. Typically, children grow taller while maintaining weight. Marcus's height hadn't increased significantly. Picky eating phase? Possibly, but combined with missed appointments, anxiety symptoms, and teacher reports, it's concerning. You can't definitively say it's neglect? As a mandated reporter, I reported my concerns to CPS after his last appointment. Vanessa gasped. Judge Morrison interjected. I have the CPS report. We'll address it later. Then came the moment I'd been dreading. I call Robert Thompson. Vanessa's head whipped around, face betrayed and furious. Robert avoided her eyes as he took the stand. Mr. Thompson, describe your mother's role in Marcus's life. My mother has been Marcus's primary caregiver since birth. She essentially raised him during weekdays while Vanessa and I worked. What happened 4 months ago? Vanessa decided my mother was too involved and cut her off completely. No transition. Complete cutoff. How has Marcus responded? Robert's voice broke. He's devastated. Asks about her constantly. Cries at night. Struggling in school. Have you observed your wife's parenting? 3 weeks ago, I came home at 4 p.m. The house was empty. When I called Vanessa, she said they were running errands. But when they got home, Marcus was in school clothes and said he'd walked home alone. He'd been home alone for hours. When I confronted her, she admitted leaving Marcus alone regularly because she has meetings. Marcus is 7. He shouldn't be home alone. What about school absences? Vanessa said Marcus was sick, but his pediatrician had no illness records. Truth is, Vanessa oversleeps. When Marcus misses the bus, she keeps him home instead of driving him. Are you supporting your mother's petition? Yes, Completely. My son's well-being comes before my marriage. Ms. Brennan cross-examined furiously. You're betraying your wife? I'm telling the truth about my son. Then Vanessa took the stand. Ms. Brennan questioned her. Why did you reduce your mother-in-law's access? Marcus became unhealthily dependent on his grandmother. He preferred her over me, his own mother. I needed to establish myself as his primary attachment figure. Are you neglectful? Absolutely not. Having a demanding career doesn't make me a bad mother. Catherine cross-examined. Marcus missed 16 days in 4 months. If he's so capable, why is he missing school? Sometimes he doesn't feel well. Dr. Rivera testified there are no medical records of these illnesses. You don't go to the doctor for every cold. 12 absences were unexcused. No doctor's notes. Does that sound like a few times? Vanessa said nothing. 70% of Marcus's homework wasn't turned in. If you're helping, why isn't homework done? He must not be telling me when he has homework. When Mrs. Thompson cared for Marcus, homework was always done. Always. Coincidence? Gloria didn't have anything else to do. I have a career. So you're too busy with your career to help your son with homework? I'm doing the best I can. Catherine held up Marcus's letter. Your son wrote that his grandmother is the most important person to him. She makes him feel safe. He misses her so much. You kept them apart for 4 months. Vanessa started crying. Everyone judged me for not being there for Marcus. I wanted to be his mother. You've always been his mother, but you chose your career over spending time with him, and when your mother-in-law stepped in, you resented her. Then why has Marcus been suffering for 4 months without the grandmother who raised him? Vanessa had no answer. Judge Morrison called recess. We'll reconvene in 30 minutes. I'll speak with Marcus privately. The truth had come out. Now Marcus would tell the judge what he wanted, and the judge would decide what was best for him. After the 30-minute recess, we were called back into the courtroom. Marcus had been in Judge Morrison's chambers, speaking to her privately. As we took our seats, I tried to read the judge's expression. It was neutral, professional, revealing nothing. Marcus was brought back into the courtroom by the bailiff. His eyes were red. He'd been crying. When he saw me, his face lit up just a little. He gave me a small wave. I waved back, fighting tears. Judge Morrison looked at everyone in the courtroom. I've had a long conversation with Marcus in my chambers. I've also reviewed all the evidence presented today, the testimony, the medical records, the school records, the CPS report, and Marcus's letter. This has been a difficult case because it involves a grandmother who clearly loves her grandson deeply, and a mother who also loves her son, but has struggled to balance career and parenting. My heart was pounding. The evidence shows that Marcus thrived under his grandmother's care. Perfect attendance, excellent grades, good health, emotional well-being. These are not small things. The evidence also shows that in the 4 months since Mrs. Gloria Thompson was cut off from Marcus's life, he has struggled significantly. 16 absences, plummeting grades, weight loss, signs of neglect. I've read the CPS report. While CPS did not find evidence of severe neglect warranting removal, they did express concerns about inadequate supervision and recommended increased monitoring. Vanessa's face went pale. I've also listened to Marcus himself. He's 7 years old, so his preferences are not determinative, but they are important. Marcus told me, in his own words, that he misses his grandmother more than anything. He said his grandmother helps him with homework, makes him dinner, reads him stories, and makes everything better. He said he's sad without her. When I asked Marcus about his mother, he said he loves her, but that she's always busy, and that he's alone a lot now. Judge Morrison looked directly at Vanessa. Mrs. Vanessa Thompson, you have the constitutional right to parent your child. But that right is not unlimited. When a parent's decisions harm a child's well-being, the court must intervene. For 7 years, you relied on Mrs. Gloria Thompson to care for Marcus while you pursued your career. That was a practical arrangement that benefited everyone, especially Marcus. But when you decided to cut off that arrangement, you didn't have a plan in place to adequately care for Marcus yourself. The result has been documented harm to your son. You testified that you wanted to be Marcus's mother and establish yourself as his primary caregiver. But being a mother isn't about titles or assertions of authority. It's about meeting your child's needs. And the evidence shows you have not been meeting Marcus's needs. Vanessa was crying silently. However, I also recognize that you love your son and that this situation can improve with appropriate changes and support. Judge Morrison turned to her written decision. Therefore, I am granting Mrs. Gloria Thompson's petition for grandparent visitation rights. I gasped. Relief flooded through me. Mrs. Gloria Thompson will have visitation with Marcus every Wednesday after school until 7 p.m. and every other weekend from Friday after school until Sunday at 6 p.m. Additionally, Mrs. Thompson will have phone contact with Marcus daily at 7 p.m. These visitation arrangements will begin immediately. Vanessa's attorney stood. Your Honor, we request that the court reconsider— I'm not finished, Ms. Brennan. Please sit down. Judge Morrison continued. Furthermore, I am ordering the following conditions for Mrs. Vanessa Thompson. 1. Marcus must attend school regularly. No more than 6 excused absences per semester, and all absences must be documented with doctor's notes or valid explanations. 2. Marcus may not be left home alone. Mrs. Thompson must arrange for appropriate supervision at all times. 3. Mrs. Thompson must ensure Marcus completes his homework and his grades improve to at least B level within 3 months. 4. Mrs. Thompson must take Marcus to all scheduled medical appointments. 5. Mrs. Thompson will attend 6 sessions of co-parenting counseling to address the issues that led to this situation. 6. CPS will conduct follow-up home visits monthly for the next 6 months to ensure compliance with these orders. If Mrs. Vanessa Thompson fails to comply with any of these conditions, or if Marcus's well-being continues to decline, I will revisit this custody arrangement and consider expanding Mrs. Gloria Thompson's visitation or even granting her partial custody. The courtroom was silent. I want to be very clear, Mrs. Thompson. This is your opportunity to prove you can be the mother Marcus needs. But if you continue to prioritize your career over your son's well-being, or if you continue to view your mother-in-law as a threat rather than a resource, you will find yourself back in this courtroom facing much more serious consequences. Do you understand? Vanessa nodded, unable to speak through her tears. Mr. Robert Thompson, I'm also addressing you. You testified that you work long hours and have not been adequately involved in your son's care. That needs to change. Marcus needs both his parents, not just his grandmother. I'm ordering you to attend the co-parenting counseling sessions with your wife. This family needs to learn how to work together for Marcus's benefit. Yes, Your Honor, Robert said quietly. Finally, I want to say something to Mrs. Gloria Thompson. Judge Morrison looked at me with kind eyes. Mrs. Thompson, your dedication to your grandson is evident and admirable. You have been his rock, his constant, his safe place. Marcus is lucky to have you. However, I caution you not to undermine his parents. Vanessa and Robert are Marcus's parents, and they need space to rebuild their relationships with him. You must support that, not sabotage it. Can you commit to that? Yes, Your Honor. I've never wanted to replace them. I just want Marcus to be happy and healthy. Good. Then I believe this arrangement will work. This court is adjourned. The gavel came down. I sat there, tears streaming down my face. I'd won. I'd actually won. Marcus would be in my life again. Catherine hugged me. You did it, Gloria. You saved your grandson. Vanessa rushed out of the courtroom without looking at anyone. Her attorney followed, trying to catch up with her. Robert came over to me. Mom, I'm so sorry it came to this. What matters is that Marcus will be okay now. What's going to happen with you and Vanessa? I don't know. Right now, I'm just focused on being the father Marcus needs. The marriage, we'll figure that out later. The bailiff brought Marcus over to me. Grandma! He threw himself into my arms. I hugged him tight, breathing in his little boy's smell, feeling his small body against mine. I missed you so much, baby. I missed you too, Grandma. The judge said I get to come to your house on Wednesday. That's right, and every other weekend. Can we make cookies? We can make all the cookies you want. He smiled, a real, genuine, happy smile I hadn't seen in 4 months. Grandma, will Mama be mad that I said I missed you? No, baby. Your Mama loves you. She's not mad. The judge said Mama has to let me see you now. That's right. But your Mama is still your Mama, okay? You need to respect her and listen to her. I know. I love Mama, but I love you too. And that's okay. You can love both of us. Robert knelt down next to us. Marcus, Grandma's right. You can love all of us. We all love you, and we're going to figure out how to be a better family for you. Okay, Daddy. How about I take you to get ice cream, and then Wednesday after school, you'll go to Grandma's house? Can Grandma come get ice cream with us? Robert looked at me. I nodded. Sure, buddy. Grandma can come. The 3 of us left the courthouse together. As we walked to get ice cream, Marcus held both our hands, mine and Robert's, swinging between us like he used to do when he was little. For the first time in 4 months, he looked happy. 3 months later, I picked Marcus up from school every Wednesday, just like the judge ordered. The first few weeks were wonderful. Marcus was so happy to be back at my house, helping me cook, doing homework at my kitchen table, baking cookies. His teacher called me after the first month. Mrs. Thompson, I don't know what happened, but Marcus is back to his old self. Perfect attendance, homework done, participating in class. Whatever you're doing, keep doing it. I'm just loving him, I said. Vanessa had complied with all the judge's orders, though I could tell it wasn't easy for her. She'd arranged for after-school care on the days Marcus wasn't with me. She was making sure he got to school. His grades had improved to B's. The co-parenting counseling was apparently helping. Robert told me that Vanessa was starting to understand that asking for help wasn't weakness. She's learning that she doesn't have to do everything herself, Robert said, and that accepting help from you doesn't make her less of a mother. I'd been careful to support Vanessa's role as Marcus's mother. When Marcus would complain about rules Vanessa set, I'd say, "Your mama makes the rules. We need to respect that." When Marcus would say he wished he could live with me full-time, I'd say, "You belong with your mama and daddy, but I'll always be here when you need me." Slowly, things were getting better. One Wednesday, Vanessa called me. "Gloria, can we talk?" Of course. She came over after I'd dropped Marcus back home that evening. We sat in my living room, the same room where she'd come to cut me off from Marcus 6 months earlier. "I owe you an apology," Vanessa said. "A real one." Okay. I was jealous. Of your relationship with Marcus. Of how much he loved you. Of how good you were at taking care of him when I felt like I was failing. Instead of asking for help or trying to learn from you, I pushed you away. I convinced myself that you were the problem, that Marcus's attachment to you was unhealthy. But the truth is, I was the problem. I wanted to be Marcus's mother without actually doing the work of mothering. I wanted the title and the credit without the time and effort. I used you for 7 years and then threw you away when my ego couldn't handle the truth. That Marcus loved the person who actually took care of him. I'm sorry. I'm sorry for cutting you off. I'm sorry for what I put Marcus through. I'm sorry for taking you to court and trying to paint you as the problem. She was crying. You've been nothing but good to Marcus and to me. You helped me have a career and a child. And I repaid you by trying to erase you from his life. I took her hand. Vanessa, I forgive you. Just like that? Just like that. Because holding on to anger doesn't help Marcus. And Marcus is what matters. How can you be so kind after everything I did? Because I've been a mother for 34 years. I know how hard it is. I know the guilt, the fear, the feeling that you're never doing enough. You made mistakes, but you love Marcus, and you're learning. That's what matters. Vanessa cried harder. The therapist said the same thing. She said I was trying to be a perfect mother instead of just being a good enough mother. Perfect doesn't exist, Vanessa. Good enough is actually wonderful. Can I ask you something? Anything. Will you teach me? How to cook the meals Marcus loves? How to help him with homework the way you do? How to make him feel safe the way you make him feel safe? I smiled. Of course. We can do it together. We can? You're Marcus's mother. I'm his grandmother. We're not competing. We're on the same team. Vanessa hugged me. Thank you. Thank you for not giving up on Marcus. And thank you for not giving up on me. 6 months after the court decision, things had transformed. Marcus was thriving. Back to straight A's, perfect attendance, happy and healthy. Vanessa had cut back her hours at work. She picked Marcus up from school 2 days a week herself. She'd learned to help him with homework. She was actually parenting, not just supervising. Robert was more involved too. He'd started coaching Marcus's soccer team and made sure to be home for dinner at least 4 nights a week, and I had my grandson back. Every Wednesday, every other weekend, and holidays we shared. But more than that, I had a relationship with Vanessa now. A real one, built on respect and understanding. She'd call me for advice about Marcus. She'd invite me to school events. She'd send me photos during the week. We'd even started cooking together on Wednesday evenings. Vanessa would come over, and I'd teach her Marcus's favorite recipes. I want to be able to make these for him, she'd said. Not because I'm trying to replace you, but because I want to give him the foods that make him happy. One Sunday, we all had dinner together at Robert and Vanessa's house. Robert, Vanessa, Marcus, and me. Marcus was telling us about a school project, animated and excited, taking turns looking at each of us as he talked. I looked around the table and felt content. This was what family was supposed to be. Not perfect, not without struggles, but together. After dinner, Marcus hugged me goodbye. I love you, Grandma. See you Wednesday. I love you too, baby. As I drove home, I thought about the journey we'd all been on. Vanessa had tried to erase me from Marcus's life because she was insecure and jealous. But instead of destroying our family, the court case had actually saved it. It had forced Vanessa to confront her failures. It had made Robert wake up and be a present father. It had protected Marcus's right to have his grandmother in his life. And it had taught all of us that family isn't about competing for a child's love. It's about working together to give that child everything he needs. My name is Gloria Thompson. I'm 58 years old. My daughter-in-law tried to take my grandson away from me. But a judge saw the truth, that I wasn't trying to replace Marcus's mother. I was just trying to love him the way every child deserves to be loved. Consistently, reliably, unconditionally. And now, thanks to that judge, I get to keep loving him for the rest of my life.